So, Mark, did you see that dude hanging out in the casino with his gal, just having a grand old time?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think he's with that gal or is he just there? She seems a bit younger and probably a bit too nice looking for for him from what I can tell, but to be honest, this is all your fault, Sean.
Why is that my fault? He's the one who was a bad boy.
Cuz you hate dogs and you told him to stay out of the casino, so this is the next best thing.
You got me. You got me. So on the last show, we talked about the Bally's artwork, the concept that they released for the new Bally's Las Vegas and the entertainment district around the stadium. And boy, were you guys all divided on that. Some of you said we were too negative. Some of you said we were too positive. Some people called me a hypocrite for saying that I liked it, even though it has some of the design trends I've said I don't like elsewhere on the strip. So it was an interesting take from everybody.
Yeah, and I know we had a friend reach out, and they said that this is weird because it's not all owned by the Athletics, and if you build this mall with restaurants and all this stuff that are trying to draw people in, that takes away from them selling concessions at the game and stuff, or people hang out. To a point, there's some places that are similar to this, like the Battery in Atlanta around the Braves. They have something, but this is right on top of it. And the question is, are you taking away from that? And if the Oakland Athletics owned it all, then who cares? Wherever you spend money is fine. And that's why I never really understood this setup, why they would allow someone to build all around their stadium without having that propriety or having that aspect where they get to decide what it looks like, what's there, what kind of businesses it might take from their business and cannibalize what they have going on. And I think that's a great point. And this takes away from the coolness of the stadium, which is kind of unique in the way it was supposed to look. It's got a mall built around it. Summerlin would be proud, but I don't know if Vegas should be.
Yeah, it's a great point. Vegas has unique stuff. We've stopped building unique stuff. This is very vertical. It's on top of you. It doesn't do good for the pedestrian experience compared to elsewhere. But maybe this is the spot for that type of venue in Vegas. Other places, maybe not, but surrounding the stadium, this sort of fits, and that was my view on it. But I totally see the other side, and I just thought it was so interesting because I think we were both sort of in the middle saying we liked parts of it, we didn't, but you went all crazy about the screens and the heat, and everybody glabbed onto that. So good job job on calling it out.
I mean, we've been talking about this for a while. I hate how everything's built up to the street. You don't have anything set back anymore. You don't have that experience. It just feels like you're walking in any other city. And then if it's screens, it's even worse because it's bright and it's hot, and it just kind of detracts from looking at the skyline. So I wish more stuff was set back. Like if this was just the stadium set back off the road and you had to walk in like a big concourse area to walk into it, I think it would be really cool and it'd be kind of a showstopper, but they're not going to let that land happen. That's the problem with Vegas. It's so expensive with it being built on the strip. It's so expensive. They have to take advantage of every single inch of it. And that's why I didn't like that. We both didn't like this as the selection. If they were out by Rio, they would have had total control of what's built around it. It wouldn't have been overtaken, wouldn't have a pedestrian experience or anything like that to worry about. I don't know that the location was the best choice for the A's. I think they're going to regret it.
And one last thing that I thought about, yes, the Bally's, I mean, it's very nondescript, the towers. We don't need more of that. And I do agree with that. I wish they could have done more. But we will see. As we know, this
ski slope. You want the ski slope towers?
Yeah, something different than that. So there you go. Let's talk police. And they got their cybertrucks. We talked about how Ben Horowitz, billionaire local, who donated 10 cybertrucks to the Metro Police, and they started getting deliveries of them, and we saw what they look like. And it was an interesting story going around. But there's a flip side to that because he has also donated surveillance cameras and drones and other things that a lot of privacy-minded people are concerned about. So it's interesting to see on one side people celebrating this, the other side people concerned.
Yeah, I think the cars look like RoboCop, doesn't it? It looks like it's from the 80s. RoboCop movie, what we thought the future would be, and that's the way that the Cybertruck was kind of made, and then they added all these lights and stuff to it. It just feels exactly like it's come right out of the movie. I mean, they're kind of cool looking, interesting, something different, unique. There's definitely worries when somebody's donating this kind of money, like what's the incentive or why are they doing it? Some of this stuff is from companies that he's invested in. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a testing ground for it. And they're like, hey, check out Las Vegas. They're using all this stuff. Why don't you buy it? This city, that city, San Francisco, Detroit, Miami, like all this stuff. Like, hey, it's working here. So maybe that they're just donating it as kind of like a showpiece. But yeah, it's something to worry about.
The biggest concern, I think, for privacy advocates is the license plate reader cameras that are being installed around the city that were donated. And where does that data go? And who owns that data and all of that. As for the Cybertrucks, they're going to use it for community outreach more than actual policing. So they're going to use it as a way to kind of get interested people in the community to talk to cops, see the truck. So it could be good in that way. I'll put a link to an article that kind of discusses the privacy concerns, more on the Cybertrucks, everything down there. So you can kind of see both sides of the argument.
How long do you think before we see a video of some idiot keying the side of these?
I mean, can you? I don't know. They're indestructible, Mark. Indestructible.
I mean, they keep trying even though there's cameras all around them. I never understood it.
So this is the first week of October, meaning it's the 8-year anniversary of the big event at Mandalay Bay. We all know what happened there 8 years ago. And there was this weird story this week, kind of had echoes of that, where somebody used a pew-pew and broke a window. A lady was injured from glass, and there's a big hole in the side of the building. So on the week that we remember this tragic event, the most tragic event in the history of the city, we kind of see the similar imagery, which was crazy.
Yeah, and it's really weird that it happened off-site. Like, it wasn't anything that was going on inside the hotel or even on the grounds of the hotel. And that's just the thing. When something goes in the air, it keeps going until it lands somewhere, and bad things can happen. I'm sure there was some type of fight or something along those lines, and it went off or I don't know. But just think about how many people stand by their window to stare at like the Vegas skyline. That could have been potentially really, really bad. Luckily, there was just like minor injuries, I think, from some of the glass. But could you imagine just standing there and having it come into your room? Oh, freaky.
Yeah, she said that she just heard this bang, and then all of a sudden the glass cracked and she was injured, which is nuts. They can't find who did it. They don't know where it came from specifically. They've gone through surveillance trying to figure it out. So I guess they need more cameras.
We need more
Mark.
drones.
Yeah, exactly. We need more help to find this. We're not making light of it. Serious incident. Kind of sucks. And thoughts go out to everybody. 8-year anniversary. I can't believe it's been 8 years. It's gone by so quickly.
Yeah, it does seem like it wasn't that long ago. I would feel like, 3-4 years ago, I would never have guessed 8 years, and still such a crazy story and such a tragic event, but it moves on and everything gets lost in the shuffle of COVID, I think. And that kind of warped our mind of how long ago some things were and weren't. And it just doesn't feel 8 years has gone by.
So let's talk about something fun. Desert Kingdom. This is one of the projects in Vegas that never happened, and one of the coolest projects in the history of Vegas. And it was proposed by ITT Sheraton, who owned the Desert Inn at the time in the early 90s. And they were going to build this Desert Kingdom next to the Desert Inn. So they were going to eventually expand the Desert Inn and build this next door. It was going to almost have a theme park in the back with like family themed attractions, 3,500 rooms. It's going to cost $750 million. Eventually, they went on to buy Caesars World, which, has gone through so many iterations, and currently Caesars Entertainment. And they kind of got rid of this property. But would this not have been one of the coolest things to ever be on the Las Vegas Strip?
Yeah, you look at the prices of things back then, like Mirage was a little over $300 million to build. This was like $900 million. It'd be like $5-6 billion now. I know inflation and everything since the 90s has been crazy, but it's still, you're like, oh, that's a good deal. They should have done it. But back then it was astronomical amount of money. Sacrilege to say this for Vegas people, but I kind of wish this was there instead of the Wynn. The Wynn is great and everything, but this is like next level, the theming, everything we want out of a property. And it would have been probably the biggest thing in Vegas.
Yeah, it would have been incredible. And remember that MGM Grand had its theme park, MGM Grand Adventures, opened in 1993. So this is sort of inspired out of that era. The funniest thing about this, I found an LA Times article from 1994 discussing this, and it talks about the announcement. It says the announcement comes a day after Mirage Resorts said it would build a $250 million 3,000-room hotel and casino to cater to budget-minded gamblers on the site of the former Dunes Hotel. So the original plans for Bellagio were for a budget casino.
Yeah, can you imagine B for Bellagio means budget? And then that they only spent $250 million, no fountains, no nothing, no shopping, just a regular old hotel. That'd be crazy to think of.
And speaking of Dunes, the Neon Museum, they restored their sign. They finally lit it. I saw a lot of criticism of this sign. It's definitely not the sexiest in their collection. And we talked about it a few weeks ago that they were doing it. But here is what it looks like fully restored and lit up. But it's the only sign that remains. And so therefore, it's cool. I know it's small. It's not the flashiest. There's not like a ton of neon. It's more bulbs and stuff. But glad to have it.
I like it. I think it looks better than the screens.
Yeah, I think it's exactly. It's better than the screens. And yeah, it's a great notch in their cap. And, I'm glad they're continuing their effort. And I just wanted to follow up to show you guys that. So the Packers played this crazy game this week, 40-40 tie. I was traveling. I didn't get to see it. I heard it was an incredible game. But we learned that in Circa Survivor, ties mean you lose.
Yeah, do you mean incredibly bad, like bad football? Is that what you're trying?
I don't know. I didn't see it. I just heard it was exciting.
I mean, the second quarter was wild. They had like a block extra point return, and then the Cowboys scored a whole bunch of touchdowns in the last couple minutes. I stopped watching after that because I was like, this is insane. But I never really thought about it, and you wouldn't think that would be the way to get knocked out. And Packers took out a huge chunk of the last 2 weeks. Took out a huge chunk of Circus Survivor players. Looked great the first 2 weeks, have looked terrible the last two.
Yeah, I'm sure you're taking pride in that. I almost didn't want to bring up the story just so I didn't have to take that crap, but 1,817 people lost when they picked the Packers and they lost that week. This week was 478 more, so the Packers definitely taking people out. But that Matty Betts, he shared this video of his 4-team parlay that relied on Kraft, and he got, to the 1 yard line a couple times, didn't get in the end zone, and he lost, $320,000?
Yeah, but I mean, prop bets are always a dice game. Like, he calls this the worst loss, bad beat of all time because he got tackled at the 1 twice. But I'm like, I don't know. I think the Rams game the week before, where I think they were a 3.5 point favorite. They were down by 1, kicking a field goal to win. So if they miss, you win as the Rams bet. If they make it, you win as the Rams bet. And they got blocked and it returned for a touchdown. So you went from guaranteed win to loss. I think that's a much worse beat.
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show, behind the channel, trash talking each other's football teams, all kinds of fun stuff happening there. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So about a month ago, we talked about Atomic Golf, and they were launching their all-inclusive football thing, and they've now rolled it out to 4 days a week: Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
7. Just do 7.
Well, there's not football games 7 days, I guess, but
I'm sure there's a Mac action game going on somewhere on a Tuesday.
We'll get there.
Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. Still 3-hour sessions, $59 for the weekdays, and then on the weekend football, it's $69. That's including unlimited golf. They have draft beer and house spirits, fountain drinks, and then their buffet of chicken tenders, mac and cheese, nachos, that kind of food. We still think it's a great. I mean, this is a great deal.
It is. I think it's an amazing deal. I had fun when I was there. It's a little bit loud, but if you can deal with that, it's a good experience. It's similar to Topgolf. The bars are cool there. I didn't have the food, but the beer they had a great beer selection. So I think it's well worth it. Go check it out.
Also, people should check out Pin Up Pizza. Remember, they were the place that had $26.99, 2 slices and a beer. I don't know. They were changing the price every day, it seemed like, and it was kind of this internet drama. Well, now we're down to $9.99 for 1 slice and a drink, which is a pretty good deal. Not my favorite pizza. I take it over Evil Pie, though.
Oh, you just love to smash on Evil Pie.
I don't like their pizza.
It used to be good. I don't know what's happened or changed, but no, this is a really good deal, especially on the Strip. And Pin Up Pizza has bigger slices, so it's probably closer to like 2 slices when you get 1 slice, if I remember right. And I would take this deal. I mean, especially if you're walking around having some beers and you just want to grab something quick, it's going to be cheaper there than going into a food court somewhere else. So yeah, I think this is great.
Also great. What goes better than medieval theming and a tiki atmosphere?
So dumb.
That's what we're getting at Excalibur. We're getting the Excalibur Tiki Bar. Now, they have not released any information. I believe it's supposed to open later this year, according to Las Vegas locally, but they haven't released concepts or menus or anything to say what this is going to be or how tiki it's actually going to be. But there you go. You're going to get a tiki bar at Excalibur. Does this really officially mark the moment that tiki bars jump the shark?
Yeah, I think so. We went from having like 2 in Vegas to now everybody has one, it seems like. But Excalibur's a weird choice for it. I don't really get it. And if they can somehow make it like medieval tiki, I don't know how you pull that off, but that would be really cool. I love tiki bars. I just don't know that this is the spot for it.
Medieval tiki sounds amazing. Yeah, like maybe they're going to actually pull off something really cool here. I'm still holding out. I mean, we don't know. That's the truth. They haven't released anything. I think it's funny that when this kind of went viral this week and people were talking about it on Reddit and on Twitter, that they didn't just kind of come out and show people what it's going to look like to get more excitement going. But hopefully we'll learn more about it soon. But yeah, my initial impression was this is so weird that maybe it could actually turn out to be very cool. So let's head up north to Grand Sierra. They announced the start of their $1 billion expansion, and that is owned by Alex Morello, who also owns Sahara down here in Las Vegas. And he says this project represents a transformative moment for Reno. They're building this arena, which is going to have over 10,000 seats for the University of Nevada basketball, which is incredible. A new parking garage there, but also a new tower will be coming eventually. I think this kind of like a Top Golf type thing, budget housing, new trails along the river. This is the closest casino, I think, to the airport up there, and pretty nice place. And this looks incredible. I mean, we talk about all the stadium proposals here. This looks great.
Yeah, and I think if I remember right, their basketball team has been in the NCAA tournament the last couple of years, quite a few times in the last like 10 years. It seems like every time we fill out a bracket, they're, slotted on that like 9-10 seed line. The program's on the up and up. So this would be really cool for them. A good selling feature to bring players in attached right to a casino, which comes probably with some problems. But overall, I think it's kind of exciting. And it's just surprising to see this much money being spent in Reno. You wouldn't think it, nobody's really done anything major there in a while, and it doesn't get the love or draw of Vegas, but maybe it's, kind of having its renaissance, and we'll have to see if this spurs it on. And then you look at that, it's the owner of the Sahara who's struggling in Vegas. Where's the money come from?
Yeah, I mean, this property has done well for a while. $435 million is what the arena itself is going to cost, which is a ton of money. The new glass tower does look nice in the concept art, but it's just interesting to see this project, a arena attached to a casino. It kind of reminds me of T-Mobile, and when we built that back in the days before we thought we needed public funding for these stadiums. This is all privately funded.
Yeah, good for them. And should we talk about how that's kind of weird for a college stadium? Technically, it probably won't be. They're probably just leasing it out or renting it, however you want. But they're putting the logo on the roof from the sky and everything. Seems a little bit strange.
Remember in the days where they tried to keep sports and casinos separate? What happened to those times? I mean, they're so intertwined these days.
Especially college. It's just wild. But yeah, I mean, who else can say that they're going to play their home games attached to a casino? That's pretty wild.
So we have something fun to end the show. But before we do that, let's talk the numbers for August that came in. These came in a little over a week ago, but because of my travel schedule, we didn't get to talk about them. So we don't need to go too much in depth, but it was sort of a similar story to July. The overall visitors down 6.7%, and then gaming revenue was up 5.3%, largely driven by Baccarat. It's like almost the same story from last month.
Maybe they just stayed, like they were there at the end of July and they were here. Whoever's losing big money was here till the beginning of August and stayed really cold. But yeah, that's kind of crazy, and not as bad as July, I think, overall, the numbers, but it's, kind of what we saw all summer. It's staying somewhat steady, though. It's not dropping off a cliff like we thought it might.
Still, 11.7% decrease in revenue per available room. That is the revenue across every room, whether it's filled or not. That is pretty bad. Hotel occupancy was down to 77.5%. That's pretty low. We usually see over 80%. Yeah, these numbers are pretty bad. Now, remember, the whole sale, Welcome to Fabulous, all of that kicked off after these numbers. So it's not, indicative of that. We'll see how it recovers into the fall, like they've been saying. But yeah, I mean, the high end, this is just what we're seeing over and over. The high end, the people with money are supporting the city, while a lot of the more budget-minded people are just not coming. And that's why you see visitor numbers down while gaming revenue up. But if they can't maintain these hotel rates, this is going to, it's going to hurt the city in the long term. Jobs, a lot of stuff, because they based their business model off of the last few years. And if this does change fundamentally, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, we've seen how slow they are to adapt to stuff. They're behind the 8 ball already on becoming more budget-minded, more friendly to the consumer. We've been saying that they should have been doing this, 6 months ago, or thinking about this and noticing what the summer was going to look like, and they probably could have done a little bit better. But don't worry, Sean. Medieval Tiki is going to save that low-end casino. Dirty Castle is here to stay.
Yes, absolutely. Bring back the normies. What happened to the normies? I don't know, but we'll continue to see this. It's interesting now that every time a stat comes out for Las Vegas, the airport was down quite a bit as well. And every time you see this now, it's getting national coverage. Everybody is hyper-focused on it, which is not good for the city, I don't think. But we talk about it every month, but it's not great to have these headlines. So maybe we'll see September do better, and then we can say Vegas has recovered. Vegas is back.
Probably not.
But Vegas never went anywhere. It's just crazy to say nobody's here. Even 10% less visitors is still a lot of people coming.
Yeah, we're still at highs for other years, even 10% down off of the all-time highs. So it's not the worst thing we've seen, and they're still probably making more money than they did in the past. So it is what it is.
So let's close with this Running Rich Grand Prix. I call it the Mario Kart slot. It's not. It has no affiliation with Mario or Nintendo or anything. And it is made by a company called Competition Interactive, who one of the principal members of that is Paul Steelman, old friend of the show, who we talk about, who designed many of the casinos in Las Vegas. And he asked me to go play it. We had played it when it was at Silverton. I think it was the only place in town a while ago. And went over there. Jasmine was playing it. And this is skill-based, so I believe the amount of your bonus is based on how well you drive in the bonus. My wife, not a great driver, therefore we didn't do well. But the bonus frequency on this machine is great. You get a lot of races.
Hope you do all of the driving, because that was horrible. I didn't know. I was like, okay, maybe this is a predetermined slot thing and making her crash, but that was terrible.
It was. This is a fun game. They rolled them out to all the station casinos. It's at Palms and Plaza. So I see in Sunset Station all the time, people hovering around this, playing it. You got the steering wheel. They're coming out with different cabinets too. And I'll be at G2E next week. And I think this is kind of a good preview of that, covering some of the coolest slot machines. So I'll see what else they have up their sleeve for future versions of this. But like I said, the bonus frequency on both times we played at Silverton and at Sunset Station has been really good. So they're kind of delivering on the gameplay experience and giving you that bonus. And it's a lot of fun. Do you need to win $1 million, or do you want to go have fun and then have a chance at these jackpots?
Both.
And, yeah. Just don't let your wife drive on the machine.
No, I like that it actually is a little bit skill-based. Like we see the claw game and stuff like that that have come in the last few years. And you think it's skill-based, but it's really just all predetermined. So I like that they let you actually drive the car a bit. And then you just, make sure you put somebody in there that can actually drive.
So I'll be at G2E next week looking for the coolest slot machines of the next year, looking at the trends in gaming like I have. So I'll be covering that either next week or the week after on the show, kind of show you the coolest stuff that you have to look forward to. I'm going to guess more screens everywhere.
Yes, more heat. Let's go.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Cybertrucks with the police, these Mario Kart video games, skill-based gaming. You want to see more of that rolled out because you're a great video game person. And by the way, there's still a range of what you can win, right? That's how they keep it within the realm of working in a slot machine, right? You're still it's still a slot machine in the end. Desert Kingdom, everything else we discussed today, leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays, Fridays, back to our regular schedule over here. Thanks so much for watching. Maybe I can finally kick this cold over the weekend.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Ruff, ruff.